everyone, it's Laura, and I hope you're all doing well. So one of you very smart people requested that I do a video regarding vitamins and minerals that vegetarians or vegans may need to look out for and make sure that they're getting adequate amounts in. And so I'm going to make a video on that. So if you're interested, then keep watching. So just to preface all this, one of my many soapboxes that I oftentimes get on is people that think that vegetarians and vegans are lacking in certain nutrients, which could be the case, but the same thing could be said for meat eaters or people that consume animal products. So whether you consume animal products or you don't, it's equally as important to consume a variety of fresh foods, fresh fruits and vegetables, and making sure that you're getting the nutrients you need. Just because you're a vegetarian or a vegan doesn't mean you're automatically lacking in nutrients, but the same goes for meat eaters. Just because you're a meat eater doesn't mean that you're getting everything you need. So this video can actually be helpful for the general population. What I'm going to be using, which was also my viewer's idea, was I'm going to be utilizing my book, which is Healthy Veggie, A Dietitian's Guide to a Plant-Based Lifestyle. And probably my favorite part of this book is I go through every single nutrient and make a list of excellent food sources for every single nutrient that are plant-based. So the first one I go through, and the first one I'm going to talk about, is protein. So the first one is protein. So probably the biggest sources of protein that vegetarians and vegans are going to consume would be your whole grains, your nuts and seeds, your legumes, so like your beans and peas and stuff like that. For me, I don't believe in counting calories. I believe if you are consuming appropriate foods, then you don't have to watch portion sizes because you're listening to your body, you're putting wholesome, fresh foods into your body that are nutrient dense. And typically those foods don't have any calories or a lot of calories to begin with. But in this, I do include serving size or portion, just because if you're someone who wants to make sure you're getting adequate amounts of that, I have the percentages as well, so you need the portions for that. So anyways, protein's easy. So in addition to the ones I already mentioned, your nuts and seeds, legumes, beans, peas, and whole grains, a lot of your more processed items are also dense in protein. So like your veggie burgers, your meat alternatives, your non-dairy alternatives, so like your almond milk, your coconut milk, they have a little bit of protein in them. But then also more manufacturers have been coming out with non-dairy yogurts, which have been having a decent amount of protein in them, just because a lot of them are soy-based. And so they could have 6 to 10 grams of protein in a little cup of the non-dairy yogurt. So yeah, that's protein. And to figure out how much protein you need, so the average person that exercises an average amount, they need about 0.8 grams of protein per kilogram of actual body weight. So how you're going to figure that out is you get your weight in pounds. So say you're 130 pounds. Divide that number by 2.2, and that's how many kilograms you are, and then multiply that by 0.8. And that's about, on average, how much protein you need every day. So calculate that, and you'll know. So yeah, that's protein. So next would be your B12, and this is one vitamin that if you're newer to vegetarian or veganism, you're more than likely okay, just because your vitamin B12 stores can last up to 5 years. So a lot of people that are on a plant-based diet, if they are at risk for becoming B12 deficient, then you more than likely won't see it until you're 4, 5, 6 or more. With that being said, people that consume meat become B12 deficient as well. So it's not like they're completely ruled out from not being intentional about consuming B12. So the ones I have, my B12 list is super limited. But more than likely, the B12 that you're going to be consuming has been fortified, unless you're consuming seaweed. And a lot of mushrooms have been fortified with it as well. But fortified foods, like same with protein, the non-dairy milk alternatives, any type of processed vegan item has likely been fortified with B12. And so that's something, what I'll do is when I'm looking at what type of almond milk I'm going to get, I turn to the nutrition labels and choose whichever one has the highest percentage of B12. Another thing I do is I'll use nutritional yeast, and that has a bunch of B12 in it as well. And it's super easy to add to everything and anything. And so B12 is one that is important to be intentional about consuming, because it's super important for brain function as well as metabolism. And so if you're someone who thinks if you're not consuming processed foods at all, then it should be something that you should consider getting a supplement. So the next one is vitamin D, and this one is not isolated, and calcium. This one is not isolated to vegetarians and vegans. A bunch of the general population, particularly those that don't live in warm climates, are coming up vitamin D deficient. I would bet money that if you're someone, you don't live in a tropical climate, you don't supplement with vitamin D, and you're not intentional about getting adequate amounts, then I would guarantee that you're deficient. So many of the Western world has become deficient that if we check a vitamin D level based on whether or not the person supplements, I can predict around what their vitamin D level is going to be without even seeing it. That's how predictable it is. So vitamin D is one that I do supplement. I use a vegan liquid form, and I just put a drop on my tongue, and I don't do it every single day, but I do it a few times a week. And it is one that if you take a multivitamin, then you're getting the vitamin D more than likely in the multivitamin. But for me, I do consume, like I mentioned, I do consume non-dairy milk alternatives, but I'm not consistent enough with it every single day. So I like to add the supplementation a few days a week. And this is something that, honestly, even if you are a little bit more intentional about consuming adequate vitamin D, it is something that I would at least have a supplement on hand. Take it a couple times a week. It's not going to hurt you, and at the very least, it'll help you. And yeah, if you haven't gotten your level check, then I would also, next time you go see your primary care doctor, I would ask for a vitamin D to be drawn on you, and just to see where your levels are. Less than 20 is deficient, 20 to 30 is okay, but above 30 is where we want it to be. So yeah, don't forget about vitamin D. The next one is iron. So iron is super important for your body to transport oxygen to every part of it. So it's very vital for everyday health or overall health. And vegetarians or vegans, if you're not consuming a fresh, wholesome, plant-based lifestyle, and you're gearing more towards the junk or the more processed food items, then this is one that you should be more intentional about consuming. For me, I'm not worried about it. Well, for those of y'all who haven't seen my lab results, I had my labs drawn and my iron was normal, but before then I wasn't worried about it, just because I consume so much spinach. I put it in my smoothies, I consume it in salads, I consume a lot of spinach. I also consume a lot of nuts and seeds, a lot of beans, and the other one that's pretty high in iron is mushrooms. I don't like mushrooms, but for future reference, if you do, they're a good source of iron. So for me, I wasn't as concerned with it. But something to remember about the iron is that the iron found in plant-based foods is non-heme iron. And so it's a little bit harder for your body to absorb versus the heme iron that's found in meat and animal products. And so whenever you're consuming non-heme iron, something to remember is to consume it with something that's high in vitamin C, because that helps improve the absorption. So that's why I like to put spinach in my smoothies, because 99% of the time I'm adding some type of fruit that's high in vitamin C, whether it's oranges, bananas, strawberries. Honestly, every fruit is high in vitamin C for the most part. So that's something I really like to do to A, ensure I'm getting adequate iron, and B, to ensure that I'm getting adequate absorption from that. Alongside with that, there are some compounds that inhibit the absorption of iron, and those compounds are found in spinach, ironically. So again, that's why I like to add the vitamin C in there. They're also found in coffee. So if you're someone who likes coffee, then try and space it out separate from your smoothie in the morning or from consuming iron-rich foods as well. I hope that wasn't too confusing. But yeah, that's another one that a lot of people get their iron checked just because the general population is lethargic and is chronically tired. And that's one of the nutrients that can cause you to be tired a lot. So a lot of people, when they go to the primary care doctor or whoever, and they complain of being tired, they'll get iron studies done and see what that is. But that's another one that if you're at your primary care doctor, why not get it checked? Why not? So yeah. So this is actually a mineral that isn't talked about a whole lot, and it's selenium. And this is one that when making my book and going through these different, I'm going to focus it, and going through these different charts and stuff, that was one of the ones that I was like, ooh, maybe I should start being more intentional about getting adequate selenium. And for me, I started eating Brazil nuts, which I'm not a huge fan. I literally keep them in my desk at work, and then a few times a week I just eat one of them. I don't find them necessarily, they're not my favorite, but I just eat one for the selenium, because one Brazil nut has I have it. One Brazil nut has 290% of your selenium for the day. No, that's a quarter cup. A quarter cup has 290%. So one would have 75% maybe. Yeah. So I started consuming Brazil nuts. That's also why in this book for the meal plan, I put for you to have a Brazil nut a day to help bump up your selenium and make sure you're getting 100% of what you need. Other foods that are high in selenium are couscous, mushrooms, which are super healthy. I wish I liked them, but I don't. Soybeans, which majority of them are genetically modified, so maybe not. Sunflower seeds, chia seeds, brown rice, oat bran, and amaranth. So those are some of the ones that are on the list. So what is selenium? I guess I need to talk about that. Selenium is an antioxidant, and it helps decrease the inflammation in your body, and it also helps make your hair soft and silky, and it's supposed to help with your nails as well. So in my head, it's kind of a beauty vitamin or mineral, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, selenium. So if you're a vegetarian or vegan, then maybe pick up some Brazil nuts and eat one a day, and that would be great. There you go. Why do you need a selenium vitamin when you can just have a Brazil nut? So the last one I wanted to talk about is omega-3s, or essential fatty acids. So the thing with omega-3s is that there are different forms of omega-3s. So alpha-linolenic acid, it's ALA, that's the form of omega-3s that are found in plant-based foods. So when you hear that chia seeds have a lot of omega-3s, walnuts have a lot of omega-3s, then those are ALA. So they are a form of they're a form of omega-3s. However, that ALA needs to be converted by your body into EPA and DHA. Okay? So, and that conversion rate is really low. So some studies have said as little as like 0.5%. Some studies have said as much as 15%. Either way, not a large percentage of the good fats from plant-based foods are converted and absorbed by your body. However, with that being said, the issue and why omega-3s are such a big topic of discussion in the healthcare industry isn't because necessarily we're not getting enough omega-3s, but we're consuming too much omega-6s. And those are the ones that are found in crappy oils and found in processed foods. And so what happens is we're consuming way more omega-6s than we should, and thereby our ratio of omega-6s to omega-3s is super low. Okay? But if you're someone who you're consuming fresh, plant-based, wholesome foods, you're not consuming a lot of processed crap, and you're eating the foods and providing nutrition to your body like you should, then that conversion rate likely isn't an issue because you're not consuming that many omega-6s. But even though your body's not converting that as high as we'd like it, your ratio still isn't that far off. Okay, I hope that made sense. So your body wants EPA and DHA. ALA doesn't mean anything unless it's converted to EPA and DHA, and those are the good fats that we want in your body. So as a result, you have options, right? Don't eat crap, which for a lot of people isn't always realistic. I don't know, depends on the person. And make sure that your omega-6 and your omega-3 ratio isn't too far off. Or you could potentially supplement with EPA and DHA. And this is where it gets even trickier. So when reading, if you're someone who does want to supplement with omega-3s, don't get the ones that have omega-3s, omega-6s, and omega-9s, because that defeats the purpose, right? Because if you're supplementing with omega-3s, but also supplementing with omega-6s, then it's not helping your ratio anymore, and that's what matters. So when you're buying a supplement, only buy a supplement that's just omega-3s. Second thing, when you flip it over and you're reading what's in it, we want the EPA and DHA to at least add up to 250 to 500. So we want that number to be relatively high. So if you flip it over, and actually I have my niece's gummies, hold on. Okay, so my niece takes these, and so this is just gonna be an example. So for instance, when you're reading this and it says ALA, the ALA means absolutely nothing. So don't worry about that one. So what you want to read is the DHA, and ideally it'd have EPA in it as well. So the DHA is only 32 milligrams, which isn't a lot at all. So if you're a vegetarian or vegan, you don't consume fish oil, right? So there are algae oil supplements that are high in EPA and DHA. I actually used to take them, but I ran out and they're kind of expensive. So I don't anymore, but I need to go and pick some up, honestly. It's on my to-do list. So there are algae oil supplements. And just kind of as a fun fact, fish don't naturally have the good fats in them. It's the algae that the fish eat, and then the fish have it. You know, it's kind of like animals don't naturally have B12. It comes from whatever they eat, the soil that they eat, and then gets in their bodies, and then we eat the animal, right? And so same with the whole omega-3 thing. So if you're someone who likes seaweed, seaweed's a good option. You have to eat a decent amount of seaweed to get a decent amount of EPA and DHA. But anyways, so algae, there are algae supplements on the market. I got mine at Whole Foods. Whole Foods has them. But again, look at the EPA and DHA. Not that ALA is bad, it's just the conversion rate isn't ideal, and we don't exactly know how much of that will be converted to EPA and DHA. So yeah. So I hope this video helped you out. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them below. I always like to hear your thoughts. If you have any suggestions for future videos, then feel free to leave that below as well. And I'll be seeing you in my next video. Bye.